Hello, YTPC. Joshua Stewart smoking a pipe up north in the woods. Once again, we're not up north in the woods. We're down south in the shop, which I like to spend time in the shop too, so that's not all bad. So, um, just wanted to address a couple of questions for clarification on my video the other day, um, kind of regarding what's going on with my parents' farm. I answered a few of you in the comments of kind of what's going on, but I'll just put it out there so that everybody can understand. But my parents have lived. They bought the 10-acre farm, southern Minnesota, back in 1976 when I was still in diapers. We'll put it that way. And it was every building on the farm was kind of not that great a shape when they bought it. And Dad was farming at the time, and over the first few years that they lived there, they did a lot of stuff to bring everything back to pretty good condition and bring all the outbuildings that were salvageable back up to good usable condition. There was a couple of them that were too far gone already at the time, so they got rid of them. But there was the house, the barn, and a couple of other outbuildings. And so we'll fast forward to what's happened in more recent years. As they were getting older now, it's getting a lot for them to keep up the farm. And especially my dad is, uh, well, both my mom and dad have some health issues, we'll say that. And they've had some health issues for a while, so they've been considering, downsizing for a number of years. Um, but the property that they're on is on a vein of some high grade gravel that's basically ready to use right out of the ground for bases for roads and whatever else it may be. Um, very little impurities in it. It's basically just sand and gravel and rock, and just all they need to do is sort it by size. There's very little clay or other impurities in it. And through the decades, the I guess the gravel pits have just been moving, um, just kind of following that vein on up. When I was a kid, the neighbor about a half mile away opened up a pit when I was probably 5 or 6 years old. And that pit kind of grew and grew until it um, took up all of uh, all of that guy's land, and then um, the guy that managed the pit bought the land across the road from mom and dad, and I believe that was a 40-acre field. That my dad did own that 40 acres at one time. He bought that when he bought the farm, but that was on a separate contract for deed. And when the farming went bad in the 80s, my dad he let it go back to the original owner on a contract for deed, or that he made the contract for deed with. So anyway, I'm going into more detail than we need to, but long story short, they bought the land surrounding my mom and dad's farm, but they couldn't open it up as a gravel pit without mom and dad's permission. And of course, who wants to live in the middle of a gravel pit? I don't, and I don't think many other people do. So mom and dad wouldn't give them permission to do that. So they'd been discussing for a number of years, you know, potentially selling to this guy. Who is his wife was my babysitter when I was little. In fact, there's a family photo when mom and dad were moving, and I was, like I say, in diapers. And the guy who ended up buying the place, his wife was elementary or junior high age at the time, holding me with mom and dad's old, I think it was like a 58 Ford pickup or something they had at the time, full of furniture and stuff that they were moving to the place that they live now. Anyway, getting off track again. 6 minutes in, and I should be about 2 minutes into where I'm at in the story. So fast forward to about 2 years ago, there was a pretty nasty storm that came through and caused a lot of damage to the house. Not to the point it wasn't livable, but I think mom said it was like $40,000 or $50,000. You know, just it's a huge house. I mean, we're talking like 4,000 or 5,000 square feet. That dad added on probably well over 3,000 square foot addition when I was just little, and kids were popping out about every 18 months or 2 years. So he's like, we need a bigger house. I don't want to move. Let's build on. So the huge house, huge roof. The roof got damaged. A lot of the windows got damaged, and siding got damaged, and fascia, and a lot of other stuff. So they got like a $40,000 settlement from insurance. Well, mom and dad were talking. It's like it's probably actually a good time to sell. So they spent a few more months negotiating and came up with a deal and sold to the gravel pit owner. And he gave them, this was October of 22, I believe, that they made the deal. And at the time, he gave them a year to get everything moved off the farm. Well, that was about the time that mom and dad were both having some pretty serious medical issues, and dad was going to hospitals for treatments 3 to 5 days a week. And when he wasn't at appointments, he was sleeping, just getting drained from everything that was going on. So the guy that bought the place, he was very easy to work with, and kind of extended the timeline a little bit. But now, I think, when was it? About a month ago, he said that they need to open everything up. So 60 days to get the rest of the stuff moved out. So that's why we're kind of in crunch time, helping mom and dad get stuff moved off the farm, and all the buildings will be removed. A few of them are getting moved. There's like a detached garage that's already been moved, and I think another 1 or 2 small outbuildings that have been moved. And then there's a chicken coop that dad fixed up real nice, kind of made it into his own little private museum. Found out last weekend that building will found someone that's going to take it and move it and put it to use. And then the barn, which I think it's like a 30 by 50, the old gambrel style 2-story barn with a big hayloft, built in 1937. That's a pretty decent sized building to move, but it is movable, and somebody is going to take on I mean, obviously expensive too to move it, but it's the building is in good enough shape that it's worth somebody sticking that money into. And the house, like I say, it's got a lot of damage from the storm, and with several additions, it's just not cost effective to move it. So the house will be bulldozed and done away with. And people have commented that, you know, yeah, obviously it's sad, but it's mixed feelings. I mean, the condition it's in right now, I mean, you know, that's it would take, oh, like I say, all of that $40,000 plus to fix it up, plus moving expenses, which it may not even be able to be moved. So, you know, I mean, I might try to get in there a few days before the bulldozer and try to salvage some of the woodwork, because my dad, the place had been gutted like in the 50s and got rid of all that tacky Victorian woodwork. So when I was like in junior high, Dad had some time in the winter because he was doing mostly farming and doing a little bit of construction work. So winter time was kind of the quiet time. So there was over the course of a couple of winters, he basically rebuilt the nice woodwork in the living room and you know, the staircase and some built-in cabinets and beautiful stuff that he ended up doing. But I think all that we'll be able to salvage from the woodwork is maybe some of the stairway components, which I don't know what I'll do with them. But if none of my brothers or anybody wants them, I'll probably go in there and, like I say, pull out some of the spindles and newel posts and figure out something to do with them. So yeah, we're what should have been about a 4 or 5 minute, we're up to 12.5 minutes. So anyway, that's the whole background with the mom and dad's farm, with what's going on there. And I'll be going down there again tomorrow for the day to try to help move a couple loads of stuff, put it in storage basically, because they've got everything that they need at their new house, and their new house is significantly smaller than the farm. Plus they don't have any outbuildings. So anyway, what am I smoking tonight? Well, here we're going to go with another story. This is actually my third bowl of different tobacco that I've lit tonight. The first two I didn't finish. My first bowl, I won't say what blend it is because I know it's a good blend and I'm pretty sure that I like it, but I made the mistake, and it's a cherry type of a blend. It's well loved and I'm pretty sure I like it too. I had it in my White Briar K. Woody. That's the ghosted White Briar K. Woody. Yeah, the ghost is just it. I haven't done the full deghosting in this yet, and I gotta do that before I do much else in it. So I smoked maybe a third of what I had in there, and I had a full bowl packed, and this is, if I'm not enjoying it, why do I do it? So I took that out. The second bowl, I actually did in this pipe, just a Missouri Meerschaum, I believe it's a Legend, that I have dedicated to non-aromatics. I tried to blend for the first time. Ooh. Yeah. Yeah. No. It was interesting. I might use it for blending with something, but by itself, I mean, if it was just way too, how would you say, cigarette-y, and did have a little bit of a nick hit, which I'm not big into getting a big nick hit, but some of my favorites do have a pretty good kick that way, so whatever. But yeah, I won't throw it away, but it's probably one of those that I'll maybe just try once every 6 months to see if I like it yet. It was interesting. I don't know if I got any from the ashtray here, but it's like, you can see that. Just really fine, like cigarette tobacco, which it probably is. And it seemed to burn pretty fast too. But say I got halfway through that, and it's like, no. I was that first bowl in the Ghosted K Woody. It was just, how would you say? It wasn't hitting the spot, and that Ghost was just giving it a little bit of an off taste. But this stuff, it's like I was forcing my way through, and it's like, no, I don't need to do this. I might as well get something I like. So, this is almost done now already. I did start it before I started recording, but Escudo Navy Deluxe. It's definitely one of my top 10s. So, anyway, got that. And I haven't had a chance to watch many videos, let alone make videos very much lately. It's just been run, 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 run. I thought things would settle down after the graduation, but they've gotten worse. So, didn't get a video made when I was up north last night, but I think we're just about done here. But watched a video a little bit ago before I recorded. Gentleman Scholar. He hasn't put out a video in a while, but he did give me a little shout out, and I appreciate it. And he made a comment about how he enjoys listening to the, I don't remember how he phrased it, but we'll just say the Minnesota accent that I've got, which I don't think I have an accent, but I remember the first time that I realized that I probably did have an accent of some sort. My cousin grew up, I may have told this story before, I don't remember, but my cousin grew up on the West Coast. And when my wife and I were first married back in the late 90s, they would usually come back every summer and visit the relatives in Minnesota. And she was newlywed at the time and had commented on that they'd just seen the movie Fargo. I don't know, a few weeks or months prior to them visiting. And she made the comment of how good of a movie that movie Fargo was. She said, yeah, the characters, the actors, they talk just like the people here. And I'm like, what? What do you mean? I don't get it. And so a couple weeks later, wife and I went to the video store and rented a VHS and watched Fargo. And it's like we weren't 10 minutes into it, and it's like, oh my gosh. I do have an accent. So, but anyway, oh shoot, we're at 20 minutes already. I'm almost done. I got one more thing I want to mention. I actually made a little checklist of the things that I wanted to talk about, but I spent about 8 minutes longer than I wanted to talking about the farm. So, um, I guess kind of going back to the farm. Obviously, all the trees are going, and there was a couple of apple trees on the farm, and I think my brother took like a bunch of the branches, and he was gonna um, cut them up and use them for smoking because he likes to smoke. He buys a half a beef at a time and likes and a whole hog and likes to do some smoking to the meats and stuff like that. So he took some of the small branches and there's the main stump left. So um, being I collect antique tools, I know a lot of the antique handles for these tools used apple wood. So I there was the main stump was probably a foot. Yeah, yeah, ooh, uh, yeah, a foot or so diameter. Then it branched off, and there, um, so I got a few chunks that I cut in about 2 foot sections, which a 2 foot section of 12-inch stump is about all an average guy can carry, and it because applewood is very dense. So especially when it's green. So question for some of you guys out there. Now that we're getting close to the end, if there's anybody left watching, some of that applewood I would also like to make a pipe out of someday. And I know that the stuff has to dry and cure for probably several years before it'll be able to be used for uh, well, pretty much anything. But specifically for the what are you doing, Mittens? Specifically for the pipe making end of it, what is going to be the best way to cure these chunks of applewood? Um, do obviously I'll seal the end grains um, to try to minimize the checking, but do I want to like split it and or cut it down to size or somewhat close to the sizes that I'm going to be using right now while it's green? Um, leave the bark on, take the bark off. I don't know if anybody's got any experience. I should probably be going to some of the woodworking channels and asking that, but if I can figure out a way to cure that or season it without it checking, because it was just a couple of days ago, and some of it's already starting to check. So which I guess I haven't sealed the end grain yet either, but hopefully I can get that done soon. Then do whatever. Like say if I need to cut it to rough sizes or let it season as a whole log, and then just deal with whatever cracks end up happening later. I don't know. But if anybody's got any suggestions, I would appreciate it. And now that we're all longer than most people are willing to watch, I think I'm going to call this good for tonight. And I'm pretty sure I won't be able to make a video tomorrow, maybe Sunday night. So I'll be kind of intermittent here for a while. But anyway, Joshua Stewart, smoking a pipe up north in the woods. Have a good day.